Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Human. I am the training coordinator at East Carolina University, and today I want to share training with you on magic makering. Yes, I did come up with that word, I think. Maybe someone else in my chapter did. But I know these are character trainings, and I promise that this is a character training video. Stick with me. But anyway, let's get started. A little bit about me is that I've been a character trainer for almost 3 years now, and I just got done with the semester at Walt Disney World, where I worked in Galaxy's Edge and really got to learn in depth about their character trainings and how they get even their regular cast members in the zone of being their character. I took a lot of that inspiration into this training, and so I do like to tell everyone where it kind of came from. But let's get into it. So, everyone knows that being a character, you have a magic maker. Now, ideally, our magic makers would know every single character in the chapter and they would be ready to go on the spot. But that's not always the case. The only one who knows your character as well as you do is you. So, what I have my characters do here at ECU is we make a magic makering for Belle video, or a magic makering for Zarina video. Not even video, sorry, PowerPoint. So, I am friends with Belle and I made mine on magic makering with me. So the first slide is the title and then a picture of the animated character and how she looks. The second slide is my costume. So I have a photo of my costume and how it looks when it's looking good, and then I have what it consists of. So my wig, my corset, my shoes, my tights, my this, my that, like all of that is listed out so that I don't forget anything and can refer back to my Magic Maker slides, or my Magic Maker can refer back to them. I also have the things I need help with, so I cannot get into my costume by myself. I can't lace my own back thing, I can't tie my own skirt, and once I get my skirt on, I can't put my own shoes on. So that is all listed onto my slide here. Then after that slide, I have my story. Now this is the most important part of this training, in my opinion. So what the story is the story is where you take the time and you are telling your story through your character. We think about it a lot, but we never really write it down. So I'm gonna read you guys a quick little excerpt of mine, and it's not exactly what I would say in front of kids, but it really helped me get into my character and my character's emotions when all of this was playing out. So I was a girl in the village doing all right, then I became a princess overnight. Okay, you got me. It took a couple months. What happened was, I lived in the most boring village with the most amazing inventor papa. The whole town thought I was odd, and I enjoyed reading, and I desired to be more than a trophy wife. My father was on the older side, and I always worried about him, so when his horse Philippe came back without him, I set off without hesitation to rescue him. He trespassed in a castle, and the most terrifying beast took him prisoner forever. I knew my father would die if he stayed in that chilly cell much longer, so I did what any brave girl would do, and I traded places with him. He was sent back to town before I could even say goodbye. To my surprise, my new prison was enchanted. There were magical talking items everywhere. Well, I let my curiosity get the best of me, and when I first arrived at the castle, I ventured into the West Wing, the one place that I was told not to go. I should have listened, but the beast found out, and he yelled at me, and it scared me, and I said, promise or no promise. I ran out of there as fast as I could. That was a bad idea, because then I was attacked by wolves. The beast saved me. I thought about escaping and running back to the village, but he was injured, and if I left him there, he would have died. And he did just save my life. So I went back to the castle with him. I helped him with his wounds, and I got to know him. The beast was interesting, like any good book. I did not judge him by his cover, and I got to know him. At first he was rude and conceited, and I wanted nothing to do with him. But then he was sweet. It was strange. I was very confused on how I was feeling. But then he gifted me the most thoughtful gift in the world, the castle library. I had never seen so many books in my entire life. It was incredible. He let me teach him how to read, and we really became good friends. I started to really enjoy my life in the magical castle, and every day there was an adventure. There were people who thought I was amazing, and friends to hang out with all the time. For the first time in my life, I had friends. I, however, did really miss my papa, and the thought that I would never see him again was starting to weigh on me. The beast could see that this made me sad, and he let me borrow his only window to the outside world. I was thrilled to see him again, but when I looked through the mirror, he was sick and dying. He needed me, and the beast understood and set me free. I had always planned on coming back, but the beast didn't know that at the time. I rushed my father home to safety. Moments later, the village gathered outside of my cottage, accusing my father of being crazy. I used the mirror to prove that he was not, but it backfired. The village freaked out at the fact that there was a beast nearby, and Gaston used fear tactics to rally the town against him. Have I mentioned Gaston yet? Well, I guess I will. Gaston is the town hero. Just ask him, he'll tell you. He asked me to marry him, me, the wife of that boorish, brainless, oh, no, I can't. Let me stop before I say something I cannot take back. Anyway, I did not realize how much of a monster he was until he told me that if I did not marry him, he would throw my father into an insane asylum. He convinced the town that the beast was a danger, and the only way that we would be safe is if his head was mounted on Gaston's wall. He locked us in the basement of our cottage, and for the second time in my life, I was taken prisoner. Thanks to a stowaway, Chip, I escaped. I rushed back to the castle to save the beast. He was thrilled to see I came back, and it gave him the strength to fight against Gaston. Gaston ended up slipping and falling off the castle roof, but not before he was able to stab the beast with a hunting knife. In that moment, as I watched the beast suffer and die in front of me, I realized I didn't want to live without him. I loved him. Then all of a sudden, sparks of light are shooting everywhere. I have no idea what's going on. And the next thing I knew, the beast was floating in front of me. There was a flash of light, and I couldn't even see. I was so scared. My best friend just died. And then the stranger was approaching me. I jumped away and backed off. And then he said it was the beast. I wanted to believe him, but my brain was telling me it just wasn't true. I just watched him die. But I looked into his eyes. And his bright blue eyes, sure enough, full of kindness and compassion that I would recognize anywhere. It is you, I said. And that was when I finally told me about the curse and how the spell had been there for 10 years and all of them were living underneath that. It was a lot to take in. But we lived happily ever after. Now this is the important part of the training. This is the what you're doing now. This is really up for debate, you know. Your character can decide what you're up to. You can be up to something different every time you go on a visit, but here's what I think Belle would be up to. We are now living happily ever after. Now that he is no longer confined to the castle, we've been traveling the world together. We've been exploring places we read about together and meeting all of our friends. And meeting new friends like you. The beast wanted to come so badly today, but Chip got into some mischief. Let's say now that he's human, he's even better at making bubbles, and the castle may or may not be completely filled with bubbles right now. Don't worry, the library is safe, but they are back in the castle cleaning up their mess. But he did want me to wish you the best, and Chip says hello as well, and they are so happy that I could come today to visit you. I'm so proud of him. He's being there, and he's being a good friend and helping Chip. He's ruling over the rest of the kingdom and helping his subjects today. He has such a full plate. But that allows me to come and visit you today. So that's kind of the idea that I have in my mind when I'm going to visit people. Then I have a slide on my main characters. So for people, since that was all my interpretation of it, and I don't go into a ton of descriptors on who all these characters are, the next slide has the Beast, Gaston, Maurice the Enchantress, and the next one has Lumiere, Cogsworth, Potts, and Mrs. Potts, and Chip, LeFou, and you. Yes, you. One of the most important things about a visit is knowing how you know your magic maker. So I put you in there. Take a couple minutes, think about how you fit into Belle's story. How did we meet? Did we meet in my original stories or just a couple hours ago? And that's really up for the creativity of your magic maker. So the reason why I say that that's the most important part is because that really helps you get into the emotions of your character. What did they go through? How do you connect with them? Putting it in a tone that is more the way Lauren would talk than the way Belle would talk really helped me relate to her. And of course, like I said, that's not how I would tell the story to a kid, but it really helped me vibe with her, for lack of better words, especially the way I decided to leave out Gaston until the end, and I was like, oh right, let me mention Gaston, I guess he's important, because honestly, I feel like that's how Belle would be. She didn't realize he was that big of a pain until, oh, he's trying to lock your father in an insane asylum. That's a problem. Anyway, the next slide after the story is the emergency. We have to leave right now. Something is going on. Get me out of this room. So at East Carolina University, we have a signal. It's a V, and most of the time it's behind your back, so that makes it more sideways. But it can also be on your shoulder if you know your magic maker's kind of behind you, or on the back of your head. Depending on where you think they'll see it, that maybe the other people will not. And it should be recognized right away, so you shouldn't have to hold it for a long time. But when that signal is seen, we are to treat it as though you are about to have a heart attack. And so we use one of these clever emergencies. A couple of mine are Belle, your father's calling on the magic mirror. The doohickey on the thingamajig is acting weird in his newest invention, and he needs your knowledge of book smarts to help him out. Because honestly, that's exactly what Maurice would call it. The thingamabob on the doohickey is broken. So anyway, and then Belle, I just saw Gaston. He might be following you. We better go hide. If you see him, don't tell him we were here. We'll be back as soon as we can. Especially if you're not leaving yet. You can always use the we'll be back as soon as we can. But for our magic makers, I always tell them don't promise we're coming back, because if you're not the one who's noticing a problem, you don't know how intense the problem is. But the V signal can just mean, oh, I wanted a sip of water. Like, no, I'm good. I just wanted to be away from the people so I could grab a sip of water, get a couple minutes, that I can go back in as soon as I stretch. So that is how we use the V signal. This is a page of different excuses for Belle, just to get the magic maker's mind rolling around different things that they could use. And then if they notice something about me, like, oh, Belle, Maurice is calling, he needs your help with the thingamabob, he can't find the doohickey, let's go help him, we'll be right back as fast as we can, everybody. And so she's like, and I'm like, why did you call me out of there? Like, what's going on? And she could be like, oh, your hairpiece was starting to slip. And I'll be like, oh, great, thanks. Because that's something that I can't see or feel since the wig. So those are all the reasons why we have this PowerPoint. Now, on a visit, I have a slide of different things. So mine says, make sure I drink water. Here's my medical history. Here's the current medications I'm on in case there is an emergency and a doctor asks you and you're like, I don't know. This is my first time ever talking to Lauren. I don't know what she's on. Then I have continue to interact with me if kids aren't paying attention. This helps me keep my posture and keep my smile from dropping, because even though I'm not interacting with a kid, because I'm interacting with you, even with like very simple conversation, it'll remind me that I am this person and I'm not just standing here. So I have that on my slide, and then I also have constantly look at my earrings. They have fallen out on a visit before, and I don't want to lose them because then I can't go on visits. So that's another thing I have on mine. And then I also have keep your eyes and ears posted on, my costume. I really can't tell if anything gets moved around, so that's also on there. And then I have a any questions slide. So that really helped me think about when I'm on visits, what do I usually need help with? And while I was making that, I took a lot of things off of it, because I realized one of the things I had on there was I always forget that the dog in the castle's name is Frou Frou. Well, after writing that down, I have not forgotten it since. So like writing down all of these things that like, oh, and in case I forget this, here's this. Oh, and in case I forget this, here's that. And that helped me as a character like solidify those things in my mind, and I remember now. So these are all the reasons why I like our characters to make these PowerPoints. It really helps you connect with your character through the storytelling that you do on the couple slides. It really helps you connect with your magic maker, and it also helps you look and reflect on how you are during a visit, what you need help with, what you can improve on, and secretly it tricks you into getting better at those things, because I really didn't realize that I was even doing that until a couple months after having this PowerPoint. And then the time that we present this PowerPoint is to our magic maker while we're doing our makeup. So she can sit there and flip through it while I do my makeup, and then she can say, Lauren, I have a question about this. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? Or she can say, Lauren, tell me your story. And then she can follow along what I wrote down while I tell the story. And if she's like, oh, and you forgot this, or don't forget about this, or kids might ask about this, and like that's a good time to like refresh myself and to refresh them on the story if they haven't watched it recently. Then they get the PowerPoint sent to their phone so that if something does happen, they have it on them where they can easily access it and figure out what could be going on. So that is the Magic Makering for Belle PowerPoint. So I hope that this video has helped you. I know it's been a long one. Thanks for bearing with me. And I hope that your character integrity at your chapter improves if you choose to adopt any of these PowerPoint type activities to your chapter. If you have any questions, I am on Slack. My name is Lauren Human and I'm the ECU Belle, so you should be able to look that up and find me and reach out with any questions or comments or concerns, and I'm happy to hear about them. Until then, see you later.